Jack and the Beanstalk. Once upon a time there was a boy named Jack. He and his mother lived below the poverty line, though they still managed to afford a shack, a cow, a table, 2 cups and plates, and a chamber pot. And how is that the definition of poverty? Sounds pretty plush if you ask me. It will come as no surprise that Jack was an idler, and not very bright besides. Because of all this self-esteem building nonsense, Jack thought that he was clever and deserving of more in life. He felt privileged somehow, as if merely being born in a beautiful land of opportunity, like storybook land, meant that he had all sorts of rights and could ignore his responsibilities. One day his mother sent Jack to market to sell their old cow before she spent the entire day watching television and soaking up entitlements. His mother, that is, not the cow. Resentfully, Jack walked down the road to town, wondering if he could sue his mother for child abuse for making him do this chore. Soon he was interrupted by an old man by the side of the road. "Where are you headed with the cow, sonny?" the grey-beard asked. "None of your business, old man. Why are you hanging round here anyway? The sooner you up and die, the more government benefits there'll be for me." The old man smiled. He was accustomed to the impudence and hostility of young dopes like Jack, who have absolutely no respect for authority or experience. "I'll bet you're taking her to market to sell." Jack's eyes popped out, and his jaw dropped. "How did you know? Are you magic?" Grinning cryptically, the old man refused to explain that his deduction was based on 2 facts. Today was market day, and Jack's mother had hung a cow for sale sign on the animal. It was child's play to let the punk jump to his own wild conclusions. "If you're magic, I'll trade you the cow for something that will let me get rich while doing nothing. That's what I want most in life, besides being a superstar rap celebrity product endorser." Reaching under his tattered cloak, the old man produced a handful of beans. "I only have these 5 beans," he said, "but there's a powerful magic in the principles they represent. The first bean is self-reliance, the second bean is respect for your elders, the third bean is piety and submission to the divine power from which all the other beans derive their potency. The fourth is a secure border." Yeah, said Jack predictably. "Let's make this happen. I ain't walking all the way into town. I feel a nap coming on." Jack grabbed the beans and handed his cow over to the stranger. Jack then walked home, happy in his short-term gratification. The old man then led the cow to town and sold it for a respectable profit, because, as we all know, the only real magic is the magic of the unfettered marketplace. "I sure pulled one over on that old fool," Jack said to himself on his way home, but trouble awaited him from the moment he stepped between his mother and the TV. "You traded the cow for a handful of beans?" she asked, nearly screaming. "They're not just beans, they're magic." "Magic?" she asked. "Sure," said Jack, holding them up one by one. "This one's named self-respect, this one's named pie for your elders, this one—" His mother threw a beer can at Jack to shut him up. "What the hell kind of fool names his food?" This started a row that went on all afternoon, typical of the broken family dynamics that a values-starved, dependent nanny-state mentality will always create. Somewhere amidst the name-calling and the dish-throwing, the handful of beans were tossed out the window and landed next to a discarded boiler in the debris that littered their backyard. Then, because he lacked any positive male role model in this single-parent household, Jack stormed out of the house, got drunk with the other young leeching hoodlums in the neighbourhood, and went on an all-night wagon-jacking spree. When Jack awoke in the garden the next morning, surrounded by empty bottles of New English 800, he was shocked to find a gigantic beanstalk stretching all the way into the clouds. "Wait till the old bag sees this," he said, with a feeling of accomplishment that was completely undeserved. He began climbing in hopes of grabbing as many beans as he could find and selling them for cash before his mother and his welfare benefits counsellor found out about it. Jack climbed and climbed up into the sky. At the top of the beanstalk, he was amazed to find that he was able to stand on top of the clouds. Note to meddling growth-strangling regulators, a little air pollution is not always a bad thing. With the fluffy landscape before him, he began to walk. As he walked, he saw activity all around him. Hard-working labourers were stripping off sections of cloud with noisy machinery. These white pieces then rode along conveyor belts and fell into large holding bins. These bins were then pulled by a tractor to a pair of buildings on the horizon. Jack marvelled at all this industry. No one he knew had ever worked for a living. Amidst all the activity, he noticed one man who seemed to be in charge of it all. It was hard not to notice him, as he was a giant. A giant in size, as well as in job creation, productivity, ingenuity and resourcefulness. Oh my goodness, I need new teeth. He was standing next to a very large golf cart, which he used to move around his operations quickly. Jack ran up and shouted, "Hey, giant! What is it you do up here?" "Tap the natural resources we've been blessed with," he replied, "and add extra value for the benefit of consumers." "But what comes out of those factories?" He said proudly, "The best rainwater you'll find anywhere." Jack was puzzled. "You're processing rain, but doesn't rain come naturally?" "This is much higher quality rain. People pay a premium for this." "And then what? Some of the farmers don't get rain." The giant gave a scornful look. "What are you, some kind of climate communist?" "I'm taking what I've been given, adding value to it and then selling it. That's called progress, comrade. Econ 101. Who let you onto this cloud anyway?" "I thought the old saying was something like, when it rains on rich and poor alike." "Maybe so, Weisenheimer, but when you're rich you can afford top-shelf rain gear and a canopy on your pool deck." Jack was envious of the giant's wealth and status, but not so much that it motivated him to ask for a job or even a mentorship. He just wanted to take what he saw, as a life of shiftless dependency had taught him to do. In what he thought was an inspired move, Jack stepped off a tiny white hillock of cloud and fell down quite dramatically. "Ooh! Ow! I think I sprained my ankle in your unsafe sweatshop. I'm going to sue." The giant laughed heartily. "Good luck with that. Look around you. Do you see any OSHA regulations? Any tort lawyers? Any disability insurance laws? No. That's why I can put these people to work, because those impediments to growth have been removed. How big a margin do you think I can charge selling water? My competitors overseas don't have these worries, I tell you." The giant's pocket chirped. He pulled out his cell phone and took the call. "Is that hen online yet? Listen, that hen has to be online yesterday. Get it done. I don't care. If you don't deliver those golden eggs, the short contract will cost me millions, you hear me? Millions! Make that hen lay, or else." The giant hung up and wiped his face with his handkerchief. The burden of keeping the economy going, regardless of his altruistic intentions, was taking a toll on him. Jack looked around. "You know what's funny? We've never heard of any of these jobs before. Did you ever hire anyone from my village?" "Rest assured I tried," said the giant, "but no one was willing to do the job for the wages I could pay. Your neighbours are all spoiled, afraid of a day's work, so I had to find employees where I could." "They're all undocumented, aren't they?" accused Jack. "You've brought in cheap illegal labour." At this accusation the giant's face grew red and he balled up his fist. "Why are you always picking on the independent businessman? I'm just trying to create jobs and make a little profit." The angry giant turned and stomped away. Jack was afraid of what he might do. Come after him with a club, crush him under his boot, chase him around with his golf cart. Finally, the giant turned, pointed his finger and said, "That settles it. I'm taking my whole cloud operation overseas. I hope you're happy." He climbed into his golf cart and silently sped away. Jack was hustled away by security guards and forced to leave the premises down the Beanstalk. Once he was on the ground, Jack looked up at the clouds. Try as he might, he couldn't spy the giant's factory. A few unusual sounds could be heard, which some people compared to a giant sucking sound. Then the massive cloud formation moved slowly and irrevocably out of sight. Jack watched it go, but without much worry. He and everyone else expected other clouds to arrive and eventually take its place. Sadly, none ever did. Jack's beanstalk withered and died, without ever coming to flower. Like he'd have known how to harvest it anyway. Aside from freak hurricanes sent by the scorned giant, the farms of Jack and his mother and all the other people in that corner of storybook land have been suffering a drought from that day to this. And thus it happened that all this climate change was due to one selfish boy's abuse of magic beans, not any other kind of human activity. The end. Don't forget to like and subscribe and press the wee bell notification. And a huge big thank you to all my subscribers and patrons. See you next week. Bye bye.